Hi YouTube, Timothy Unkert here. In this video, we're going to look at quadratics, and we're going to use something in the quadratic equation called the discriminant to tell how many solutions a quadratic has, what type of solutions they are, and then how do the solutions relate to the graph of the quadratic. So what we're specifically using, and I'm going to write out the whole quadratic formula. So the whole quadratic formula, and then I'll talk about what we're using specifically, is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, to help us answer the questions that I'm concerned about in this video, we're going to use the discriminant, which is this part b squared over 4ac. So this is the discriminant here. That's what this is called. And what we're going to do is if b squared minus 4ac, if that's greater than 0, well, then if you think about the quadratic formula, you have plus or minus some square root of some number that's greater than 0. So you have the plus part and the minus part. So what you're left with is two real solutions. And these two real solutions represent the two x-intercepts of the parabola. So what happens here is these solutions, when you figure out the quadratic formula with this, will be where the parabola intersects the graph. So if you're thinking about how that might look, well, if you have the x-axis here, and let's say your a value is positive, you're going to have a parabola that opens up, and and your two solutions are going to be right here and here. Okay, those are the x-intercepts. If you have an a value that's less than 0, then your parabola is going to open down, like so, and the two solutions are going to be, again, here and here. Those are going to be your x-intercepts, are going to be the solutions from the quadratic equation. What we're going to use is we're going to use the discriminant to determine if you have two real solutions, or if b squared minus 4ac, if that's equal to 0, well, then you only have one real solution. Because if you think about it, you have plus or minus the square root of 0, which is just plus or minus 0, which is the same number. So it basically becomes negative b over 2a is your one solution. What this would look like graphically, if this is the x-axis, and if your a value is positive, you're going to have a parabola where the vertex just touches the x-axis and opens up, like so. Likewise, if your a value is negative, the vertex is going to touch here, but it's going to open downward, like so. Okay. And there's one more possibility. You can have b squared minus a 4ac. I'm going to move over here. B squared minus 4ac can be less than 0. And what happens then is you're taking the square root of a negative number. That becomes an imaginary number. So you have plus or minus some imaginary number here. So in that case, you have two complex solutions, which means no real solutions, which also means no x-intercepts. Okay, so if you have an x-axis here, and your a value is positive, your parabola will, the vertex will be above the x-axis, and if your a value, like this is a, so if this were negative, it would open downward below the x-axis. The vertex is going to be below it, so it's never going to touch the x-axis. Okay, so let's demonstrate with this one, and then we'll do a few more examples as well. So I'm going to figure out what b squared minus 4ac is. First, let me identify a. So that's the coefficient in front of x squared, so that's 3. B is the coefficient in front of x, which is -9. And C is the constant term, which is -2. So we're going to figure out what b squared minus 4ac is, and that'll tell us what type of solutions we have. So b squared minus 4ac can equal -9 squared minus 4 times 3 times -2. Okay, and we have a minus here and a negative here, so we're actually going to add to -9 squared. -9 squared is -9 times -9, which gives me positive 81. And then we have plus, we're going to add 4 times 3, which is 12 times 2, so plus 24. So this is going to be, we can stop right here. We know this is greater than 0, okay? If you want to figure out the exact value, it's 105. But so what does that mean? Well, that means we have two real solutions, and the solutions represent the x-intercepts of the parabola. So that's that example. Let's go to another one. Okay, in our next example, we're asking how many solutions does the following quadratic have? What types of solutions are they? And how do the solutions relate to the graph of the quadratic? Okay, so let's start with labeling A. So A is 2. B is -12. And C is 18. And we want to figure out what the discriminant is, so what b squared minus 4ac is going to equal. And so we're going to take -12, and we're going to square it, and we're going to subtract 4 times 2 times 18. So -12 squared is 144. 4 times 2 is 8, and then we do 18 times 8. So we're going to get 144. Okay, so 144 minus 144 equals 0. So the discriminant is equal to 0. So what does this mean? Well, this means that we have one real solution. The one real solution is the x-intercept and the x-coordinate of the vertex of the parabola. And we're done with this example. Let's look at one more. Okay, in our third example, we have the question, how many solutions does the following quadratic have? What type of solutions are they? And how do the solutions relate to the graph of the quadratic? So we're going to figure out what the discriminant b squared minus 4ac is. So let's first identify a is the coefficient in front of x squared, so that's 10. B is the coefficient in front of x, that's -2. And C is the constant term, so that's 9. Okay, and we want to figure out what b squared minus 4ac is. So we're going to do -2 squared minus 4 times 10 times 9. Okay, so -2 squared is +4, and then 4 times 10 times 9 is 360. So we have 4 minus 360, which is going to give us a -356. Okay, so we have a discriminant that is less than 0. So that means that we have two complex solutions, no real solutions, and because we have two complex solutions, the parabola never intersects the x-axis. And in this particular case, we want to do a very rough sketch. we notice that the value in front of x squared is positive 10. So if this is the x-axis, because the value of a is positive, our parabola is going to open up. So it's going to open up above the x-axis. We'll never touch it. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching the video.